We're back at Campbell Street again today. One of the things we've been talking about with educators, children and their families over the last few weeks are what it's like to be here. One of the things educators have told us are some of the challenges they find in working in this environment. And part of what we want to do now is really develop a plan with the educators around what we want to do. The planning process is going to be important because it really gives them a chance to explore firstly the kind of changes they want to make, but more importantly why they want to make those changes and what kind of environment they want to have. They need to think about the kind of learning they want to offer for children, the kind of experiences that they want children to be able to engage in. One of the things they've said is this environment makes it really hard to do that. And one of the things we want to do is come up with a plan that's going to make it easier for educators to work here and by extension also improve outcomes for children.
So through staff meetings and we sat down in our individual rooms.
Today we were in the preschool room, so I was with the preschool staff. And one thing we really wanted to focus on was the pathways through the room, because the junior preschool have to walk through our preschool room to get into the outdoor yard. It tends to interrupt play, and we'll be able to evaluate them after a period of time with the kids and see what they think of it. You know, we might show them our designs and say, well, what do you think?
Now, I've also here, I've got some pictures. And these are some pictures that you drew. Now, Maya, this is the one, if you remember, that you drew. Can you remember? It's got a dump truck in it, has it?
And Romany has a cubby house.
And a cubby house, that's right. She's put
And a ballboy.
A lot of them have asked for the gardens, which was really interesting, I thought, because we haven't done gardens, but they're actually asking for things like apple trees and strawberries.
Apple, strawberry, and grapes.
Come on in, there's not much space, but...
That's okay. Well, as you know, part of this whole process is developing your services quality improvement plan.
Planning for improvement is a really important aspect of any change in a early childhood service. It allows the collective heads of educators and others to come together and think really long and hard about what it is they want to change, but also why they want those changes to happen. It really avoids those quick fix solutions.
We talked about quality improvement plan for the service. So I had key areas that I was interested in focusing on. I think there's seven key areas and basically all of them interrelated. A big thing for me is the resources, the physical environment.
What is it about the physical environment here and now that makes life more difficult for educators to do their job really well?
Definitely resources. That's a huge thing that we've identified as being a problem for us. It's having the resources that should reflect obviously the natural environment, but also children's imagination.
The quality improvement plan does need to have things in around the interactions with children. So as much as the beginning of the quality improvement plan was about changing the physical environment, as we know, it is much more than that.
Okay, yes, we're working on physical environments, but that automatically leads into our programming and practice, and that also leads into health and safety for children and leadership and management. Having more dialogue within the staff, within the rooms, and building more of a team environment.
I mean, something like the program including routines is organised in ways that maximise opportunities for children's learning. I'd say that's one that...
And that's where indoor-outdoor play comes
all
into
that
play.
fits into
what we're doing.
Talking about.
Yeah, and relationships as well. Yeah. Bringing that environment sustainability in there as well.
I mean, that's great because that's sort of an incentive too, isn't it? So that you can have fresh herbs for the cook to use. The other thing is how engaged all of the staff are with the quality improvement plan, because it doesn't just belong to the director. That engagement of all of the staff in the quality improvement plan is going to be really important to the success of it.
We've tried to really work on our communication skills in terms of board members with their plans, just in terms of roles in fundraising and things like that, and communication with families.
One of the things we realised pretty quickly here at Campbell Street is just how short of resources they really are. Often in a centre of this age, you'd expect to find a lot of things that have been bought over the years, maybe stored away and not used for a while, but still around when you need them. For some reason, Campbell Street don't seem to have that. They're desperately short of everything. Furniture, toys, resources, almost everything. And one of our really important jobs, I think is just going to be getting them to a basic level of resourcing.
In junior preschool, we did feel like we didn't have anything, like we didn't have a lot of stuff. So everything that we had in our room, some of it was either taken or replaced, or nothing was new, but everything was we had to think outside the box. Everything that we collected in our rooms, like shelving, cupboards, everything was like kind of the old stuff. Some of that home corner stuff was actually for outside use, and we just took it from outside and brought it in.
Early Childhood Australia has worked closely with modern teaching aids for many years, and so we've enlisted their support to help provide Campbell Street with the basic resources that they need.
When ECA came to me and said, would you like to be involved, I saw it as a great opportunity for us to learn, and to learn what the challenges have been faced by not just Campbell Street Childcare Centre, but in fact thousands of early childhood and care centres that are right across the country. But we'll learn more probably out of this process than anyone will, because we aren't actively teaching and we aren't actively caring for children every day.
As part of the planning process with educators, we wandered around the yard and talked a lot about creating spaces within the large open space. We talked about bringing in some natural materials, and this opened staff up to seeing what natural materials they already had.
Do you know, I was thinking about my childhood.
Yes.
We climbing the tree.
As we walked around, the educators became energised and enthusiastic about what was about to happen. It gave us an opportunity to hear their ideas after having some time to think about what it was they wanted and what they needed in their new environment.
A deck over there, and then by fencing that off, it's going to make another area.
I'm like really pumped up now, like now that I know what it's going to look like.
I've written my map kind of thing. I like the idea of having this sheltered off so they can have an outdoor area. But I'm looking forward to coming outside, you know, every day rather than just sitting at the window looking at everybody else.
Sarah even just said to me, you know, it feels good, it feels like something's happening.
Once again, it highlighted just how desperately they need resources at Campbell Street. The indoor space is just as important to fix as the outdoor space. A lot more thought needs to go into how they create and use spaces within their rooms to promote better engagement between educators and children. We held some breakout workshops in each of the 4 rooms, and Sarah and Julianne really opened up to me about just how hard they were finding things within the nursery.
That's what I'm saying, the only really time we get the outside time is if they need help next door.
Whose needs are we meeting here? Actually, all our stuff that we write and say about the service is about meeting the needs of children. But actually, we're not meeting anyone's needs, because we're not meeting your needs, because all you feel like you're doing is the routines. It's really frustrating.
The routine does seem to get me down. Like, I'm more worried about the nappies, are the nappies done, and, you know, are we ready for lunch and that kind of thing, rather than, I don't feel like I do sit down and interact with the children enough.
So we're really struggling with break times. But I need my break. I need to go sit down and go,
Sometimes you just have to say, this is hard, you know?
It is.
It's really
not
hard.
easy.
And I think you've got a hard space, so I think if we can, as soon as we can, you know, get that outside thing happening for you, so that children have a bit more space.
With the furniture all there, and if everyone's awake, there's no room on the floor.
So if the playpen wasn't there, even though I understand you need it from time to time, but even if it was just set up outside the door. So, I mean, I think, you know, I'd probably try some things.
After some terrific engagement with educators and getting their ideas around a plan for the makeover, Judy and I have gone away to start designing the plan for the new playground. It's always easier to see something when it's in 3 dimensions, and I've had an idea about how to do it. So I've used some Lego and put together a bit of a model.
That's a wonderful loop. It's great. Actually, I think there's more grass on this one than there is in our actual playground.
So one of the things both Judy and I think is it's a lovely big space. You've got some lovely trees there. Because it is such a big space, when the children get out there, what it says to them is run.
Everybody who walks out of the service into the backyard, they have to go over the pavers first. So if our environment is saying run, then that's where our accidents are happening.
Yeah. But I'm not sure it's so much the pavers as the fact that
there's nothing there.
Yeah, because nothing happens here, children come outside, and you know what's interesting is the swings and maybe the climbing things in the sandpit all down this end, and they do tend to run to get there. So what we want to do is think about how we change this to change that behaviour. So do you have an idea of your budget at this stage?
At this stage, around 30,000. We
Okay.
need to commit to
Yep.
the project.
Okay. All right, so we want to use the model. First of all, you know, we've shown you what it's like now, but we also want to show you what we think will be a good plan. So this is what we're thinking. Really, it's about trying to break up the space. Obviously, trying to bring in a whole lot of natural elements as well, so that it's got a bit more hedges and bushes and garden beds to really try and break the space up. So enclosing the sand pit over here, so it's got a bit of a feel of, it's a separate space. We wanted to put in some sort of path which will function as a bike path, but also as just a way of getting traffic around the playground. And I think part of that is to really say, if this is where the traffic goes, then maybe we have a chance to get some grass in. But it's also a space that you can use just to get around the playground. So it takes you to wherever you want to go. So it links you over to the sand pit, it links you over to the swings, without having to cut straight across the grass. Using some decking, so again creating some different areas. So rather than the sort of seat that's around the tree at the moment, putting in some decking there, some decking up here in the courtyard area. And a really important thing, I think, creating here this area, which is really the babies area within the larger playground. So we don't want it to be a completely separate playground. We want there to be a connection. So this will only be only a low wall around here, a low barrier of some kind. And then thinking about, putting in some vegetable, everyone had said they really wanted some sort of vegetable patch or garden, so we're thinking along here where you're getting a lot of the sun, and some sort of water down at the sand pit. So we've put a sort of pump in the model here, which I guess is our ideal. But yeah, something there so they're getting some water in there to really make that sand pit as interesting an area as possible.
Then we'll do the bark, so we'll go the
tan bark. Always with our centre, fundraising has been sort of staff responsibility, and so little bits at a time we build up our money towards things, and our funding helps as well, so that's actually helped us with this project. This is what we need. Being that you work with children, people are always more willing to help because they want to affect the lives of children. Local businesses are fantastic. Local families who are tied with local businesses, wonderful. The funds you have available and the amount of community help and help within your service organisation with staff and families will really dictate what you can achieve and what you can't. You can't go into something like what we wanted to do with our playground without somebody with knowledge and expertise in that area. Can Do All Trades have done work for us in the past, so when I approached Clifford and Anthony, they were really happy to help us out, and because it was a community sort of project, they were happy to donate their time.
We had a discussion
and we thought, yep, this is something that we wanted to do.
Yeah, good project.
Good project, mainly for the kids. Yep, did as much as we could when we could. Project management for free.
So they actually donated around 20,000 in their time, and then if you add on to that even just the labour that we saved on contributions from businesses, from modern teaching aids with the expertise and things like that, and then the discounts from businesses, I'd say we saved about 80 to 100,000.
Since you were last here, we've had a staff meeting basically we go through, okay, let's think about our rooms, how we want them. In the nursery they changed part of the furniture around and it became more open, and we found that some of the younger babies settled faster.
And as soon as we changed the room, they were just like, whoa. And they're actually going off playing. Edie's usually upset. She came in this morning and waved goodbye to Mum. And that's a first. And all the parents that have come in and walked in and gone, wow, the room is so big. And we talked about, we were always off the floor, and it was nappy changes, so we've changed that. We've got a new part on our sign-in for the children, what time was their last nappy change. So we're not doing constant nappy runs now, we're just during the whole day just checking the nappies, and we're on the floor a lot more.
We have changed so much. Our room, we've just got changed around completely. It's been great for the kids, great for us, less stressful.
Have you noticed a difference in the children's artwork since you've been giving them more choice of materials?
I think that it's a progression.
We were outside, the children were sweeping up the leaves, and we said that we could collect some natural materials. They asked if they could use it for gluing. They've really enjoyed it. They like the feel of the leaves and the sizes of the leaves as well. What do you think about the leaves, Maya? You love it.
Take it on Mother's Day.
So since you've moved the furniture around, what's been the difference you've noticed?
That the kids are actually playing in the set areas now, so they're not taking things away from us.
Yeah.
Like they're not taking, where we had the shop over here, they're not taking it from here to here. We've actually got blocks. We've used that area for our block, like construction area and cars and stuff, so the boys love it because they're out of everyone's way.
Okay.
And the girls kind of hang out here and over here.
The way the staff have responded to the workshops is really impressive. They've embraced new ways of thinking and asked themselves questions like, why have we always done it this way? Is there another way? Can we try this and see? It would be all too easy to say, no, we can't change, we don't want to change. But Tanya is leading from the front and opening up staff discussion and involvement. But Tanya has just received a letter that will add to the pressure.
Lovely. We just got our validation visit, our assessor visit.
Campbell Street will be one of the first services in Australia to be assessed under the new system. And Tanya's past experience wasn't exactly positive, so there is a bit of fear to overcome.
My last accreditation that I went through was just so traumatising, I think, because it was such a rocky time in our history. I think that I just have a hesitation towards it. Hopefully it'll be a lot different this time.